Hey guys, it's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kingdom Games. And I'm a little quiet, my baby's asleep right now. So I'm coming at you guys with a different variant of magical muskets. Something I had intended to build for a while, but I couldn't get the cast bars, the starfires, and like pretty much all the good unchained cards. But I got help from a really good friend. Shout outs to Team Kingdom of Duelists, or Team Kingdom Duelists, however you want to say it. But yeah, they basically helped me to get all the unchained cards. It's all linked, but I wanted to make this because I like the synergy that these two archetypes have. I mean, obviously they're both prone to breaking on their own, and there can be some convoluted hands. Sometimes you have a mixture of the wrong spells and traps and the wrong monsters, but it's just a sacrifice I'm willing to make for the sheer power that this deck has. It's like a going second monstrosity, and going first, it's really good too. This deck's awesome, honestly. It can do a lot of really cool, fun things. It's very loopy. Obviously, Musketeers on their own are already a standalone archetype, especially under the new Master Rule. Having, just open zones is just really nice for this deck too, because you're able to do a lot of different things. But ultimately, there's great synergy between Unchained and also Magical Muskets. Outside of the obvious, them being fiends, they actually can assist each other, especially with that main weakness with Magical Muskets really needing to find a way to bait out cards so that their normal summon doesn't get interrupted. Unchained is another alternative if your normal summon does get stopped, or also an alternative engine that can actually force out interruptions so that your normal summon's safe, because in this deck your normal summon is the most important play that you make, because that's how you naturally get out your muskets unless you're playing like awkward spells to special them and stuff. So let's go ahead and get into the list. I'm playing 3 Starfire. It's my favorite musket because she can special any one that I want. I mean, sure, Caspar can search them, but with Caspar, even though it can search the monsters, it still can't special them, obviously. So I just like Starfire better. Obviously, Starfire can combo off even more. She allows you to actually make turn 1 link plays, turn 1 XYZ plays, etc. And, Caspar is still second best, but I really like Starfire. These are the best muskets starting up, but after you get past turn 1, I gotta say that Doc and Calamity are definitely they're your go-tos, because of course we do play Desires in this list, but you do have times where you just can't access from your deck directly. That people have cards like Ash Blossom and things of that nature, Drone Lockbird, etc. Doc and cards like Calamity become literally your replacement Starfire and your replacement Caspar. They do the exact same thing as these cards, except they just fetch from grave instead of the deck. So I look at these as just as good as these after turn 1. But continuing with the muskets, the deck's pretty straightforward. It's not difficult to pilot. Obviously, if you're a good player, you can take this deck to higher levels than other people. But it's not really hard to play. And then we have 3 copies of Kid Brave. Kid Brave really helps a lot in this deck, because you do want to draw into your Unchained cards. Like, you don't ever want to draw a hand with just all musket cards. You do want to see both engines, both archetypes, so to speak. I still play the 1 wild because I do believe in a grind game. I know some people just think the duel's just going to end flat out right away, but I don't know what's going to happen, and that's why every deck I play, I always believe that in the grind game, it's smart, dude. You got to be a little bit conservative even if you are an aggro player. So that's going to be it for the Magical Musketeer monsters. And just them being fiends just also synergizes where you can start off with your Unchained. Because like I said, you use the Unchained cards. They are really good for the board breaking that they provide, and the spot removal, and kind of just getting over cards that naturally couldn't be destroyed by card effects because you can link with those cards. But also, they do lock you into only fiends if you start off with certain cards. But the beauty of that is the muskets are all fiends. So are all the nightmares. So I guess this is like Unchained Magical Musket Nightmares, because I play every nightmare that's legal. And the only low-level Unchained monster I decided to play was the Red Twin, Aruha, I guess that's how you pronounce it. The other twin that's Water Attribute is cool, but it's really you're only going to see it is if you actually pop one of the spells or traps to special it from the deck, because you never ever want to use your normal summon on the Unchained cards. And with this card, it's a free special. You can just target card you control, restrict yourself to a restriction that doesn't hurt you, and then go ahead and special summon it. So it's really good because also obviously it starts combos for the Unchained. You can set one of your Unchained back rows, reveal him in hand, target that, and they're either going to negate it or they're not. And then you can pop, special him, and then you can bring out one of your Unchained monsters like the Unchained souls. which are really good. The Unchained Souls are what you want to get access to quickly so that you can actually make the Unchained Links, because they require an Unchained Soul monster. So he's basically like a starter if you want to look at it that way. He is played in a going second deck, but the Unchained back rows have decent effects. And also, sometimes you can actually afford to pop one of your Musket cards, because then the beauty of that is it makes Doc actually have synergy turn 1, where you can pop your Desperado and then activate something in Doc's column and add that same Desperado that you popped off of Ahura, which is really nice. So he's cool. I like him. I like the 3 of... you basically play 6 because you're playing the Prison too. And this card is actually really nutty in this deck. The Unchained Soul. Not just for the spot removal, but actually it's like this card's just insane. The recursion, it's floating. Discarding for cost kind of hurts, but you only use that when you just like really need it. But this card is just absolutely insane, and it does allow your deck to grind longer and harder. So I really like the 3 because I want to open an Unchained. Like, I really do desperately. Like, you can open their back rows, but then you still have to have a way to pop them while they're set to actually get the grave effects or special from that. So these are like the good ones to draw because you can freely summon these from hand using your own cards. You know, you can trigger this card's effect on its own. You can use this, obviously, just to simply get them out. So I just really like these at 3. And I play 2 of the Soul of Disaster. This card is just terrible to draw. It's not the worst card to draw, but it hurts a little bit when you draw this. But you play 2 for that reason alone, so that if you draw one, you still have one in deck to actually special out. But I just feel like 2 is necessary. Even if you didn't draw it, it would be nice to just have 2 so that you can make the play more than once, because sometimes you just can't get the graveyard recursion, you can't get the floating effect. But this card actually does provide spot removal that Musket sometimes don't have, because Cross Dom is your only way to really get over something that like can't be destroyed, and you don't always have Cross Dom. But now having access to these, they allow you to do even more, because the Unchains could just link with your opponent's monsters, and this can actually link with any monster. It doesn't have to be special summon, it just links with a face-up monster, which is really cool. So those are the Unchained monsters. And then I have some monsters that actually support both of my archetypes. So I'm playing 2 Tour Guides, because Tour Guide can bring out the Twin, or it can bring out Caspar or Doc. Even if the effects are negated on the Caspar or Doc or the Twins, they can be used as link materials. Also, any Magical Musketeer is a 1-card combo going second, because you can make max. And depending on what your opponent has on the field, you're going to get a bunch of resources either way. So I like it. Also, just getting access to the Twin, because the Twin does float, and it's just a really strong normal summon, honestly. Like, it's a really strong normal summon. To be able to make max and have an additional monster left out on the field is just really powerful. I like the Tour Guide, I really do. It has great synergy. It benefits you in more ways than one, and going first when you have your Ties of the Brethren, it gives you quicker access to Caspar or Doc, so you could just special them out off Tour Guide and then Ties of the Brethren them. And, you know, that's just really good. So it's like it makes Ties of the Brethren even live when you go first. And obviously, you know, it has a synergy with the Hakai, or the Unchains. The same thing with Archfiend Eccentric. Archfiend Eccentric is a benefit for both archetypes. It can, obviously, it's a free activation going first. Like, cards like Twin Twister, MST, and Cyclone are good back row removal for what they're worth, but when you go first, it's really difficult to actually activate them without having to neg. But with this, you don't even have to use its effect. You can just activate it in scale and activate your Magical Musket's effect, and that can be a free activation, and you can just send it off whenever you're ready to for your opponent's turn. I mean, on your next turn, or you can just do it on your same turn, because the other synergy that I was going to explain is this can pop a Speller Trap card on the field. So when you have cards like the Prison and, you know, any of your Unchained back rows, you can set them. So basically, if you have a good hand, like let's say you opened the Continuous spell or the Prison, and you have like a Caspar, right? So if you have Caspar, this, and a Prison, you could obviously, or even Starfire, you could just like normal it, activate Eccentric, trigger that effect, and then get its effect to, you know, resolve because you activate something in this column. Then you can use Eccentric to target that face down Prison, pop the Prison, get Prison's effect engraved to special an Unchained monster from your deck, and you just start comboing off. So it's really good. Like this card, I just would always play it. If you want to, like, you know, argue ratios or choices, you don't have to play my list. Like, honestly, I don't even like net decking, and I don't recommend that you net deck me. I honestly recommend you find your own way, but I'm not opposed to you, you know, just testing it out. But this card is just so worth it in the long run for me. And again, it's another Ties of the Brethren target. So when you open Ties, you're more prone to resolve it than you are not to. So this card also is really good. I might even play 3, but I only have 2. But again, that's the reason why, personally, for me, it's better than MST, it's better than Cyclone, and it's better than Twin Twisters, because you also don't have to take a neg 1 just to activate it. You can just activate it, and sure, it'll lock out that zone, but it has an effect where you can just clear it out yourself. And naturally, you do want to do that to pop your Unchained back rows. So Eccentric's a combo piece no matter what. And obviously it can just force interruptions, pop floodgates, and it's conveniently an out to cards like Majesty's, Vanity's Fiend, and you know, other cards like a Morphage Goliath, or let's say like, I don't know, your opponent just like made a monster that's equipped with the Buster Whelp, and for some reason you didn't open Desperado or Cross Dom, or you just couldn't activate spells or traps. Like, this also conveniently is an out to Naturia and Naturia Exterior, even though that's not popular right now. Like, Cyberstein is a card, there's decks that can make it. I'm just naming like all the interactions where this can even be better, because it can win you awkward matchups where people did make Exterior, or you have to Cross Dom but they have the Nat Beast and you're just like, alright, just pop it. It's just a really good card. For the spells, we have 3 copies of Abomination's Prison. I wish the card said Unchained in this name, but it makes sense. Obviously, this is a free activation as well. That's why I like that we have like a Rhoda-like spell, because when you go first, it is a free activation for your columns, and that's really important. Losing the Instant Fusion really hurts. In fact, I don't even think that Instant Fusion's worth it moving forward, because it will be a 1-of in your deck that requires extra deck space that I just feel is just not worth it. And then I'm playing 3 copies of the Wailing. I really do want to open an Unchained back row so I can pop it going second or going first, which is again another reason why I really do want to bump up the Eccentric, because it's one of the few ways you can do it on your own without negging. But the other thing is, like, the other ones aren't that great. These are like the best ones, so I'm maxed out on these. And also, even if you don't open any Unchained cards, because Unchained Abomination is so easy to make and it's pretty generic, you can still trigger this effect to pop, and then Abomination get the 3 pops. So you pop 4 cards. That's excluding the fact that you normally go Max, Desperado, Cross Dom, Cerberus, Phoenix, Knightmare, you know, pop, pop, pop. You just spot removal so many cards in this deck, it's crazy. So in the terms of just 1-for-1 interactions, this deck can really break boards just systematically. So we have these. And then for the muskets, you know, I'm playing the 3 Cross Doms. This card's just still insane. Obviously, it is an out to Vanity's Fiend, which can be a problem sometimes. I just like this card. It's very flexible. You can use it on damage step, but just I wouldn't do that unless you have a musket that you just don't want to activate that effect, because it won't resolve. You know, you can't activate Catsbar on damage step, obviously, but the card does catch people off guard, definitely. And because these cards exist, the other funny thing is when people play against muskets, they just always assume you have it. So sometimes you scare them into not making plays out of fear that you have it. So it's just really cool mind games too. This is like they just expect you to have it, so they play around it. And then we have 3 copies of Pot of Desires. Still have to play it. It's a free activation. It's a +1. And it lets me see more of my engine cards. I'm playing the 3 call buys because Ghost Ogre and Ash Blossom can really hurt this deck. So can Effect Veiler. Impermanence, funny enough, you have Last Stand. Last Stand is actually a hard counter to Infinite Impermanence. So essentially having the 3 Last Stands and the 3 Call by the Graves is like 6 counters to hand traps basically, which I like. But yeah, the call buys just really to make sure your plays go through. Going second, this card's even insane too, because it just depends on the deck you're playing, like against Shaddolls and Salamangreats, and heroes too, elemental heroes, or just heroes in general. I don't know if you should call it that. This card's great. And then I'm still playing the Reasoning because it's just really, really strong in this deck. Like I was saying in the original video, it just helps you when your normal summon gets stopped. And then for traps, I'm playing 3 Desperados. I still love maxing out on these because these are like the best ones. Desperado, Cross Dom, and Last Stand. And then this is kind of like a meta call. It's not always going to be good every format, but Dancing Needle's insane. I have to play more than one because I don't ever want to lose it to Desires. Like, this card's just way too good. Like, I love opening it too because it does win you matchups undeservedly. And then I'm still playing Crooked Crown. I'm still playing Phoenix Steel. These are necessary one-ups if you're playing muskets. Personally, I just can't cut these. They're both really, really good in their respective interactions where you just need them. Like, Spiral Sleeper is not really a thing, I don't think so, moving forward, but you still will have instances where your opponent will activate cards like Jackal King to negate the activation of Caspar. You chain this, and then he will be negated, but he won't be destroyed, so you can make max on the follow-up. So this card just catches people off guard. And then I play 1 of each of the Unchained Traps. These are more prone to brick than the spells are, so that's why I play 1 of each, because they are searchable and they do have interactions where they will come up, where like Abomination's Prison, you'll like have Abomination, you'll be like, well dang, I already have the natural 3-ofs, like you'll have the Continuous and the Twin, so you want to search something else. So this also allows you to have something for when you go first. outside of the continuous spell. So like these give you more plays. This gives you, this gives you recursion, and this gives you another form of interaction. And then for the extra deck, I play 3 max, obviously. I'm playing 2 of each of the Unchained lower links, and then 1 Abomination. You're naturally not really going to make more than 1, but if you need to, it is recyclable, which is really cool, so you can always just add it back. But you are playing multiples of these because these are your in-between plays, and you use them to make other cards too, which is nice. Like, obviously, this has synergy with Unicorn as well. And then I'm playing Phoenix, Cerberus, and this is my proxy for Unicorn. And the Nightmare Griffin. Because you're restricted to Fiends a lot of times when you're making your plays, I just decided to just, well, I was already actually playing these in the original profile, but I also decided to put in the Griffin because it helps you to get back like these one-ofs if you need them again instead of playing multiple copies. And obviously getting back cards like Cross Dom, Desperado, Last Stand, they're all really, really good. Just accessing your one-ofs all over again. Griffin's just nice. And the Floodgate. So if you couldn't break your opponent's board completely, you can obviously just floodgate them out on your turn. You could just link this down to a max, and then they basically won't be able to really play around it until they get links. And in the new Master Rule, some decks might not even play links because they'll be cutting their links just for the simple fact that they don't need link zones. So I really think that Griffin is being slept on, and it's going to be even more powerful than it is right now because there will be some decks that literally don't have links because they don't need them. There are some decks that will play them still. I'm not saying every deck won't, but it can really just be an auto win against certain decks. And then we have Ningirsu. It's the spot remover that doesn't target and doesn't destroy. This deck does target and it does destroy. And if something can't be targeted like Endymion, you just still need to be able to out it. The same reason why I play Borreload. Because if they have double Endymion, you need to out both of them, right? So you just need more than one chance. And I'm still playing Exiton Knight because it is a fiend. It could be summoned under restriction. And it actually can nuke your own Hakai back rows, Unchained back rows. And it can just really let you plus heavy. And that's the deck profile, you guys. If you guys want to see it in action, I definitely can do that for you. Just give me time. Just please don't ever rush me and don't ever ask me to stop what I'm doing for you, because that's just kind of like disrespecting the fact that I have a life. I have my own, I like having my own personal space too. But outside of that, thank you guys very much for watching the video. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. And if you don't mind, I'm going to say a quick prayer. You don't have to watch. You can just skip past this part if you don't like the prayer. But our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Jesus. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not to temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power, forever. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Deuces.